Welcome to Field of Screams podcast. Today we'll be talking about 2022's Hellraiser. Now this movie is known as the Reboot or Reimagining, and I'm going to be honest, after marathoning every single Hellraiser movie, ending with this one, it was very nice seeing a Hellraiser movie actually coming in with a solid budget. You could definitely feel right from the get-go, like the sound design of the movie, like just how it's shot, how clear the picture is. You could tell this movie actually has money, and it feels like this movie was planned and schemed and not rushed like so many other sequels, so that was really nice to see. Now there's a lot of different things here. Pinhead has a different look this time. A lot of the other sequels, Doug Bradley was in most of them, but even the ones that he wasn't in, usually they tried to capture like a manly type, usually with a British accent. But this time we have a female playing Pinhead. So that was different, and even some of the lore seemed a little different. But I'm going to be honest, all that stuff, I could see if you're a die-hard Hellraiser or Hellraiser 2 fan, maybe you don't like the changing of the classic Pinhead look. But I do think if we are ever going to move past the Doug Bradley era, Judgment did a good job of finding an actor to kind of replace and bring the same type of vibes, at least in my opinion. But this one was so different and felt so reimagined. When you get a reboot, if you ever try to remake the original, I don't think you're going to be successful. So I think you're better off going in a different route. And I think this one really works to its favor because with the female Pinhead, it still felt very sinister, and she still felt very commanding and very creepy in a way. Now, obviously, it's not the same way of Doug Bradley, but Doug Bradley's Pinhead, again, it just felt very commanding, like he'll pop in, he says, "I'm going to rip your soul to pieces," and, he says it with such conviction, like you believe it, you're like, oh man, you need to get away from them. But this Pinhead here, even though it doesn't really have that presence, there's kind of just a creepy, ominous, seeing that female Pinhead lurking in the shadows, walking towards you very slowly, which this movie does that a lot. And it shows a variety of Cenobites, which is very nice to see. A lot of the sequels, they have the problem of, we'll have this separate story, and that story will carry on for most of the movie, and then the Cenobites will pop in later, and oh, it's a Hellraiser movie now. And then they'll just kind of wreck things a little bit, and then we conclude that story. No, the Cenobites are here for most of the movie. So again, it felt very Hellraiser-ish. So whenever I was done with the movie, I did look online to look at some other thoughts, and I also noticed that they said that they were at a rehab clinic, and they were, recovering from drugs. And while they were there, they met a couple of friends, and they watched this movie, and they felt like they could relate to the movie. It was a very nice allegory. And to me, it was there, but then I started kind of drawing the pieces together. And this movie does a really awesome job of the Cenobites and the puzzle box, the lament configuration, it kind of being this huge allegory to drug abuse. And with the drug abuse, the Cenobites kind of representing the addiction itself. They're constantly telling the main actress, the main girl, I think it's Riley, you need to get the box to the next level. You need to get it to the next configuration. You need to reach that new high. And I thought that was really interesting. These Cenobites are constantly haunting her and her friends while they're trying to, she's trying to find her brother. I don't know, I just liked it a lot. I was like, man, I feel like this is just kind of a deep movie for a Hellraiser movie. That's fantastic. And a lot of people kind of complain, oh, the main girl's a junkie. Well, yeah, that's the whole concept of the film. She's a junkie, she's reckless. And, in her recklessness, she continues to do stuff. She hurts her family. Her brother, the actor who plays her brother, I actually remember him being in 13 Reasons Why, the old TV show from Netflix from a long, long time ago. It was a pretty big popular hit for its time. But his role in that show was he was a junkie. But in this movie, it's kind of vice versa. He's the brother that's constantly harping on his sister oh, you're using again, aren't you? Oh, what were you doing out this time? You know what, maybe you should just get your bags and get out. The dude's hurting because he wants his sister just to clean up her act. And she doesn't, and he's consistently trying to help. And eventually that leads to his downfall, and, the puzzle box takes him. So that's kind of sets up the mystery for the rest of the movie. Like, oh, how are we going to get the brother back? But, the thing about making mistakes, being reckless, and, using drugs, and the Cenobites even quote it itself. Like, towards the end, there's the guy who was being tortured with that gigantic mechanism, like, in his back, with all of his nerves being stretched out, which I'm like, oh my God, like, I can just feel his pain. It's like, raw, like, every time, like, it's winding up. But with that, he's constantly like, I want this thing out of me. The Cenobites then counter him at the end. They're like, no, there's no reversals. Like, you've solved the box. This is what you get. But the next thing you could do is go to the next configuration, and then you could kind of trade that in for something else. So it's kind of like they're egging him on to go to the next level, find the new high. Like, oh, if you do the box again, it'll make things better. It'll make your problems go away, maybe. We got such sights to show you. Don't you want to go explore them? And like, as they were doing that, I'm like, oh, that's so perfect. And like, by the end, when the main girl, they go through all that trouble, and then they're like, okay, do you want your solution? She's sitting there, and she kind of just realizes that, like, she has to drop this. Like, her recklessness, constantly trying to seek the next thing, that's what's been getting her, in this gigantic hole in the first place. So her finally saying no is like, a drug dealer finally a drug user finally putting their foot down and like, listen, like, I've caused a lot of problems, and with these problems, I'm continuing to try to find the new high, something to make me feel better. And instead of going on to the next new thing in hopes that, it will be the ultimate cure and fix everything, I'm just going to accept the abuse, accept the damage that I've done, and I'm going to try to move past it. And with her saying no and trying to move past it, I feel like that delivers the best message for this movie. So I like that decision a lot. And I think a lot of people didn't. Now, I've already talked about just like how well it's shot. And I mean, like, again, the scenery's awesome. The house it takes place in is like this gigantic mansion type thing. The Cenobites, they look great. There was not one Cenobite where I'm like, oh, that looks cheesy. Sometimes you run into that with these sequels. But this one, I don't feel that at all. But one of the best visual things that like this movie does is whenever the Cenobites do come, like, and this is like referenced like in the first couple films, like whenever you solve the box, like walls will open up. But I feel like with the old ones, you can definitely tell it's like a set piece, and you can almost like tell that they're like moving the walls, like, so even though like it's a cool set piece and like you are in a room and like when the wall opens up, you can kind of tell like it's just kind of like on wheels almost. This one, the best visual part is literally one of the girls is in the car and the Cenobites are after her. And you literally see like the car be like split in two and the girl being left behind while her and her friends are driving ahead. That was so well done. I was like, how did they even do that? Like, I don't know, like just some of the parts, like, like the floors were coming apart, walls were sliding, like the car coming apart. Like it was a visual just masterpiece. Like I don't know if maybe, me just plowing through like some of these later sequels, like it's lowered the bar and like now I'm just ecstatic over like, this movie with tons of money behind it. I'm guessing tons of money. I didn't even look at the budget. I'm taking a solid guess that they had a lot more money than the previous movies. And this isn't me like taking shots at every single sequel, but there's just a couple to where there's a lot to be desired. But with this movie, I was just completely ecstatic with it. Like everything visual. It was really well done. I like the story. I like the messaging. I mean, like honestly, I think they killed it. And I think the exciting thing is, like in this movie was made in 2022. We're going on 2026 now. I don't know the future plans for the Hellraiser franchise. I know they were promising like a video game soon. That's all exciting. But if there's anything to be excited about with this movie, it shows the potential of what they can do with the Hellraiser franchise. And there's so many sequels to where, like, yes, like people have their favorites, people have their underdogs. I have my underdog movies as well, where, like some of them didn't have that high of a budget, but it's like, yeah, but, I kind of like the story a little bit, so this one's pretty good. This movie kind of shows that, like, no, like these types of movies, they can stand with the juggernauts if they want to. Like, if you plan these movies out and have them written really well with messaging that deals with, the pain with pleasure and, making it sleazy, but also making it a pretty standout movie. Like, this movie has its sleazy scenes too. Like, the junkie girl and her boyfriend, like, having sex, and just randomly she, like, turns over and she's like, all right, let's do it in the butt now. It's like, oh, okay. I forgot I was watching a Hellraiser movie. But that's fine, because when you're watching a Hellraiser movie, you're not expecting a squeaky clean type movie. Like, it better be rated R. There better be weird things in it. Like, that's what we expect. So, with that, I don't know. Like, I was just really proud of what this movie did. I was really happy for it. Because I did feel like it was just kind of teetering towards the end. And some of these films, when I do these reviews, I know some people like them, so I try to find some light even when, I'm kind of like, dear God, like, that one was bad, like Hellworld, there's not a whole lot of redemption in there, so I try to find some fun things, even if I didn't have that fun watching it, just because no one wants to tune into a Debbie Downer. Also, one more cool thing that I forgot to mention, and, I feel like I'm all positive about this film, because really that's how I felt watching it, is that I feel like they did kind of expand the lore on the box itself. Like, each time it's solved, it would go into a different shape, and with the different shape, different things would happen. There's different levels to it, and I like that, because a lot of times in these old Hellraiser movies, like, there'd be like sometimes like a character would touch it, and then the box starts shifting, and then the Cenobites would appear. The Cenobites would appear in this movie, but depending on what shape he got, there's just different consequences and different things happen. That was just really cool. I like that. Keep expanding the lore. Like, there's a whole lot that we can touch in this franchise, despite this being the 11th movie in the franchise. It's kind of a shame, but like, there's a lot of untouched potential. And I feel like this movie just kind of showed that. Like, I like the first, I like the second, I like this one. So with that one, there's a lot of stuff that you can do, is what I'm getting at. And I know I'm probably beating a dead horse at this point. But yeah, overall, I just thought it was a really solid film. Visually, story-wise, I liked all the characters you can relate to at least a little bit. The boyfriend was a little shithead, but you do kind of need some shitheads in Hellraiser movies. There's at least one of them. The originals had Frank. So the boyfriend who's just completely backstabbing everyone, and, once they're getting to the thick of it, he's like running away while they have the box. Like, where you going, dude? Oh, I don't know. Maybe we should just go home. Like, okay. Before he was even bad, it's like, dude, this dude's a chicken. Like, on one hand, if that was me, like, I'd be a little spooked too. I'd be like, I don't know about demons, guys. Like, I don't want to solve this box. But, you are in a Hellraiser movie, so you better man up. Yeah, so overall, really solid film. I'm really glad that I watched it. I'm really glad that I kind of ended on this one. I ended on a high note, so that was really cool. So, the next episode, Hellraiser related, is going to be the ranking video. I imagine this one's going to do really well. I got to get my list together, compile it. I'm going to take a couple days, think about it, just so that I'm not, reacting on instinct or, recent bias, if that's what it's called. But yeah, the ranking is going to be fun, because there's a variety of movies with this franchise, so I'm excited to see where everything's going to go. So if you like Hellraiser, you enjoyed this episode, make sure you turn into the next one, because I'm going to rank all the different movies, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't, that way when it comes out. If you give this video a like, it gets it out to other people, and I'd greatly appreciate that. And again, thank you so much for listening, and until next time.